So, one thing we need to talk about is doing business with your BB partner. When I say BB partner, I'm talking about your bed and business partner. And I'm beginning to see more and more of this happening with entrepreneurs. So, sooner than later, it's going to be a topic of discussion. So, might as well do round one. I have a funny feeling we're going to keep coming back to this one. Now, my BB partner and I are in business. So one of our businesses we are together, and it's been entertaining. I think a couple of elements that are beginning to emerge. First and foremost, I would say the opportunity for the family to align, get behind one goal, and begin to define what your legacy is and what you're about is exponentially amplified when you get into business together. Of course, this is assuming that the business is not just for business sake and making money, but there's a purpose behind it. If I think of our particular context, just getting into specifically our property business together has forced us to have all kinds of conversations about who we are as a family, what our strategic goals are, and where it is we're trying to go. And of course, just looking at the numbers. I cannot imagine for myself if while we were still both busy in corporate, what other trigger or accelerator would have really pushed us together in one place to have a deeper conversation as a household around our purpose as a unit or as a clan, as we call it. And certainly one of the things I see as a benefit of being in business together is that through this avenue, it forces conversations around what it is that you're about as a household. And more importantly, you get a chance to align around finances and financial goals, which we know full well is one of the things that break families up. Of course, then, if you're going to get into business together, you're going to need to put some systems in place that do a couple of things. One, that separate what is domestic and what is business, because it becomes so much easier to bring business home, to bring both the successes as well as the stresses. And then the marriage and the family get morphed into this identity called the business, which is not what you want to do. For example, one of the practical things we do, which I know we could leverage better, but it's a start, is we have two WhatsApp groups. The first group is a business WhatsApp group, and the only two people on there are the directors of the business, which is Happy and I. And then we've got our own private chat, so that at least we split the conversations. We split business conversation, and when you get a WhatsApp on the business WhatsApp group, you know that that's strictly business. And then everything else, for example, we would then chat in our own private chat. Then something else that I think needs to get done is clarifying the roles. And that's one thing that I think we're beginning to get there, but we haven't figured it out as best as we should. Clarifying the roles in the business, because every business has different roles. You can't have two heads of a business. You can't have two people doing the same thing. It is dysfunctional. So as much as possible, and I've seen this with couples that are in business together that I'm beginning to observe and I'm trying to learn from, that one of the key things is there's absolute clarity about what is your role. Are you playing the role of the CEO? Are you a project manager? Are you a marketing specialist? Are you a sales guy? And everybody plays in their lane. And to support that, then you run this thing very professionally. What are the performance indicators that we will all measure the role that you're performing? So if it's sales, your sales targets. If it's whatever, being the CFO, the financial guy, then how well the numbers are managed. If it's the project manager, how well the projects are executed. And by putting those measures in place, it actually just makes the conversation easier, so that all we're actually having, the conversation we're having, is just how are we performing, versus you pulling your weight, you're not pulling your weight, and then it gets marred in a whole lot of things. Um, and without putting that stuff in place, I think at the best of times, the conversations become weird, and can easily breed bad vibes. So, so just to run that through again, I think the three elements that are top in mind for me is, if you maximize it and leverage it, it is an opportunity to get absolute strategic alignment and definition around what the who is this family, and what this family about, and what is the family called to, expressed through the business and all other elements that you guys do. And that's the part we've gotten right, and it's been absolutely awesome. The second element is, as best as you can, try split and clarify the roles. The more each person plays in their particular lane, I think it becomes a lot easier to separate to separate, what is personal, what is business, and as much as possible, then put the mechanisms in place that separates domestic and business. And slowly, I think we're working our way through that. I'll tell you as we go along how best we do it. And lastly, have clear performance indicators that are about the business, that get measured regularly, because that again depersonalizes it, and makes this about the business and whether you pulling your weight and doing the right thing. And then all in all, I think have as much fun as possible. And of course, enjoying the different personalities. But I think more importantly for me, just the privilege of journeying together, building something together, creating a legacy. Because after all, what's the whole point of family? Why would we put these entities together? Not just to exist, but to create something beautiful. And who best to do it with your BB partner? Good luck.